All right. Hey, everybody. It is episode 9 of Orphan Correct. I'm your host, Rooney, and I just want to say thanks so much for joining us. And before we get into this episode, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has sent me so many messages and watched the show. I'm really, really grateful for your support and having a great time. It's really fun to talk to all of you guys. So, thanks so much. Again, this is a spoilers full kind of place, so please don't watch this if you have not seen last night's episode of Orphan Black, episode 9. And also, finally, I am not at all affiliated with Orphan Black or BBC America or anything like that. So just a few disclaimers to get out of the way. Today's guest, I'm so happy to introduce Mimi. She is joining us today, and I'm so excited to talk about everything that happened last night. But first of all, how are you, Mimi? Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks. It's not a problem.
Cool. Okay, so let's jump right in with talking about everything that happened last night. Like, wow, I'm still kind of like shaking a little bit. Like I'm not quite over it. So we start with Allison and Donnie, I believe, is the first scene. And so I have to say, like, from the get-go, this episode was incredible for Donnie. Like, I thought almost everything he did was so hilarious, and I love the confidence that he seems to have now that he's like accidentally killed someone, and it's like it's really made for a really good bonding experience with Allison, which I think their relationship really needed after these past 2 seasons. But how great was it when they were trying to come up with ideas with what to do with Leaky's body, and he's like, oh, we could throw it in the lake, and she's like, do we have a boat? And I was like, oh my gosh,
So
that
funny.
was awesome. It was so funny.
Yeah. Especially you see like how Allison, she's not just like the backbone of the family and like being like the soccer mom and just taking care of everyone, but even when it comes down to disposing of a body, she's got that covered.
Yeah. I have to say, I really, really have grown to love and appreciate Allison's character because, like, season 1, the first few episodes, I don't know, I wasn't really digging her, and she kind of really annoyed me. But what I love about her character growth and trajectory over the past seasons is that she really turns the idea of the stereotypical like suburban housewife like completely on its head. Like she is so different from moms on TV, and I just love that. Like she's so capable and determined and intense and wants things to go her way and just wants so desperately to be in control. And I really, really love watching her and the things that she gets up to. Like, with the whole jackhammer thing, I was just like, I just love that so much. Like, 'cause she's so tiny, and yet she was way better than Donnie was at it. That was great.
Yeah, I
That was
just
really good.
can't wait until this whole thing with Diet is over because you can see she'll do anything for her kids and yet still she hasn't had much time with them because she's so busy
Yeah. Yeah.
helping them with their clothes and now she has to help Donnie with the body.
Yeah, that's true. Like I feel like I might have mentioned this last week, but maybe not. I kind of feel for Oscar and Gemma because like it seems that every time they're in the scene, at least this season, every time they're in the scene, like one or both of their parents is like ushering them out, like, oh no, you can't be here, get out, don't watch, don't look. And I'm just like, I wonder, like, when they grow up, are they gonna like look back on this point in their childhood and be like, what in the world was going on with mom and dad?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But and so I love how this whole the Allison and Donnie and the suburban shenanigans is really played for humor, like in the show. And I mean, the show is so intense that even its humor is still like disposing of dead bodies and guns and everything. But I love how this show is just it just turns so many tropes and stereotypes on their head, and I just love that. One more thing, in with discussing Allison and Donnie, I really, like I said, I love Donnie this week, but I love like when Victor, came over and he's doing whatever DeAngelis has sent him to do. And so he circles back around and he's like looking through the window, and then boom, there's Donnie with the gun to his head, I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, he really got a backbone this episode, just so easy.
Yeah, he really did. Like, after this whole season of kind of being useless and just like a slob, kind of, he really kind of like stepped it up this week. And it's so weird that it took him like murdering someone for that to happen, but I'm glad to see it nonetheless. And then like he just like just takes control of the whole situation. Like, he goes to the van where DeAngelis is, and he basically just tells them they need to leave he and Allison alone, or he's gonna like make trouble for them. That was great. I really liked that, and I think Christian Brune, however, I'm not sure how you say his name, but I think he did some really good work this week. I think it's definitely one of his best episodes, for sure. Okay, so we moved from pretty much the only humor in this episode to the drama in every other place. So we moved from Allison and Donnie, and then I don't know that this is necessarily the exact next scene, but I kind of want to talk about Helena, because since it's been two episodes since we've seen her. I kind of was really creeped out, like, obviously with Henrik putting the fertilized eggs back inside of her, but I knew that was going to happen. What really creeped me out was when he did the same thing to Gracie, and it's creepy already in that she seems really young to be getting pregnant, and she obviously doesn't want to do it. But one thing that I think is the creepiest is that, if I'm not mistaken, he fertilized Helena's eggs himself. So he's basically impregnating his daughter with his sperm, which is really creepy and like incestuous. Like, yeah. I was really creeped out by that whole thing. Like, ugh.
I also wonder, why she says that when she's helping Helena, she says that she's helped a lot of women through it. So it almost seems like that's how that's interesting. Like, that's how all the women in like your little village get pregnant. Then.
Yeah, I kind of got that feel as well. But like, his own daughter, like, that's still technically incest. I feel like, in a weird-ish kind of technical way. I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, we still don't really know like what exactly the Proletheans believe. So whatever kind of crazy cult thing they have going on, it's obviously okay for the guy to impregnate his daughter. So that's not creepy enough. But before like everything happened and went down with Helena near the end of the episode, I was kind of I don't know if excited is the right word, but really curious to see how she would handle like being pregnant, because obviously that's why they want her, and so she seemed kind of into it too. But at the same time, I just have to wonder about like her state of mind and like her psychological state, like, because while it's very easy to view her as like this kind of innocent, oh, she was abused and whatever kind of character, she also has some really real deep-seated issues that I can't imagine would lend themselves well to motherhood, and so I just don't know. I didn't know how that story would play out, and I don't although, having said all that, she does seem to be really good with kids, like with
Yeah, she
Kira, and like she just came alive with that group of kids, and you know, um,
nursery.
what that big nursery thing. Yeah, yeah. And so I think she definitely is good with kids, but I just wonder like what Helena as mother would actually look like, you know?
Yeah. But is it
Yeah.
even like confirmed that like the embryo is actually stuck yet?
Yeah, true. True. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really know exactly how that all works, to be honest. Um, although I know, like with IVF, there's very high percentages that it won't take or whatever. So if it's that same kind of thing, I guess there's a strong possibility that maybe they won't take. Who knows? Um, but it'll definitely be interesting, like especially after everything that happened. Um, so let's kind of put a pin in Helena for now and move forward to the Rachel Delphine, the first kind of Rachel Delphine scenes. So I I wonder if it's just me or whatever, but I feel like Delphine was really kind of naive in believing Rachel was not like up to something. And I don't know if I'm just saying that because I'm the viewer, and we have so much information that Delphine obviously doesn't have. But I feel like for me, I would not have trusted Rachel like at all. I would have immediately said, "Oh wait, she's obviously up to something."
Yeah, it's
Uh,
Rachel.
yeah, exactly. But I wonder if it's for Delphine like so different because she doesn't know Rachel. You know, like I
Right.
feel like she's only seen her like what, 2 or 3 times at this point. So I guess it's kind of that, but at the same time, I don't know. It just feels like she was too trusting of her, I think. And so to find out, near the end of the episode that she was basically used, it was not a surprise to me at all.
Well, also, I think part of it is she really wants to trust Rachel just because she really wants for there to be treatment, She
Yeah,
just wants her girlfriend to be okay.
yeah, yeah. I think this episode really, more than any other, in my opinion, really showed like for real what side Delphine is on. Because pretty much up until now it's kind of been hit or miss, like at least for me personally. Um, I It feels like she's kind of walked this line between wanting to be with Cosima, but then also obviously being a scientist invested in this groundbreaking experiment. And so it's just like from episode to episode, it's like, she makes these choices and then she does these things. But I think for the first time, for real, and even more than last week when she said "I love you" to Cosima, I think this week with the choices that she made and with the things that she did, it really kind of showed um, where her loyalties really, really lie. And I think even though like bad things came of it, I think it's really, really an important step for her character. But it makes me really worried for her now because I feel like Dyad is going to find out that she tipped off Sarah and is kind of on the side of the clones. And I'm kind of worried that they might like come after her like they did with Leaky, even though obviously they failed with Leaky.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just worried for her safety now. Do you get that kind of feeling?
Yeah, sort of. Unless I feel like they might have more use for her. I don't think. I feel like they'll kill her off or try and do something bad to her. But at the same time, she's such a close connection to Zima. They might be able to get more use with her if she's alive.
Yeah, yeah. I Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it going in either way. Like, pretty much right now, besides Scott, she's the only person that is like in regular contact with Cosima, and is the for the story purpose the only kind of real expositor for Cosima that we have. So I I definitely don't want her to go. I definitely want her to stay, but I
Yeah.
just am a little scared for her. But I have to say it was very brave of her to go to Sarah and ask for Kira's bone marrow, because she has to know that all these people know what she's done in the past and how she's lied to Cosima and like used her and all this kind of stuff. And so I think that also, to me at least, showed how much she really is willing to do like whatever it takes to see Cosima get better, which is another point on her side, which I really liked as well. Um, but anyway, so obviously, if I'm talking about Delphine, we have to talk about Cosima. I'm so scared for her and just really nervous about what's gonna happen. Like, especially, I don't know if you've read any of the interviews with like John Fawcett and Graham Manson about like the finale and what's gonna happen there, but I feel like Cosima living or dying could really go either way. Like,
Same, yeah.
I I could just see either one of those happening. And I know, Jack had this really cool fireside chat. I think it was her first one about why Cosima isn't going to die, and I kind of have to read that every week after I see like Cosima getting worse and worse. But it's just something kind of at the back of my mind where I could totally see it happening, and I feel like as well in the finale someone is going to die. I just don't know who. You know. Um,
You know, because there haven't really been any major character deaths
yeah.
besides Leaky.
Yeah.
He wasn't that big. Plus,
He wasn't like the main character, and obviously the story could survive without him. But if you think about any other kind of typical TV show, he would kind of been one of the like main-ish characters, and so to kill him off was like a very gutsy move, I thought. Um, so I think we'll just see. We'll just have to see what happens, like with everything. Um, I'm really though not quite trustful of Ethan Duncan right now because I feel like he's still holding back something, and that's one thing that's making me kind of nervous for Cosima because I don't know that he's actually going to turn over his all the information he has to Dyad, and um, I just get this real shady kind of vibe from him that I don't like.
yeah, I almost feel like um, he might just end up turning against everyone, like the Dyad and all the clones, and might just try and like destroy all of them just to, in his mind, get rid of everything and just put an end to all of this. Because he's gonna have to deal with the clones pretty much the rest of his life. So I feel like he might
Yeah.
just try and destroy all of them somehow.
I wouldn't put it past them, that's for sure. I definitely would not. Um, okay, so next I think we may have jumped the gun a bit, but that was me. But next, what kind of happens is you see Rachel in this meeting with what's her name, Marion, and so Marion is kind of like going on and on about Sarah and like how fascinating she is, and I'm so intrigued by her and all this kind of thing. And I really kind of felt and saw from Tatiana's like incredible portrayal. I felt this like kind of inner rage, even I guess, against maybe not Marion per se, but the whole kind of dyad setup. Because here you have Rachel, who's been groomed uh, eh, to know that she's a clone this whole time, and that she should kind of be the special one because she, of all of them, is the only one who's self-aware. and yet again and again and again, she kind of is passed over or is looked over for Sarah, this like miscreant that no one even knew about, like what a year ago or whatever. And not only is she always intriguing and fascinating to everyone, but she also has a kid, which seems to be what Rachel has wanted more than anything. So I really I really was feeling like her state of mind in that whole meeting. And then afterwards, as she was watching the videos and what have you, I really felt like this kind of internal kind of chaos really in her head and starting to come out. And I think that scene of her sitting there, sipping the martini and like tears and then like laughing out of nowhere was so stunning and like so well done. Like it was almost haunting to me. I was
And
just like, go ahead.
like the whole like setup with the black room, it was very like Rachel to have a special room built just for her own videos and to have a cocktail like right there for her. And so it's very, you get to see like the details put in by business Rachel, but then you also get to see that she has been, her childhood's been destroyed by the diet. She's still clinging on to that. So especially the part where she starts crying was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really was. And I feel like we obviously still don't know a lot about her, but I feel like she really just wanted, especially maybe as a kid, just to have the sense of family and to just be loved. And I feel like that hasn't really happened like at all. Like her parents were, dead, and then you have Leaky, who I think cared for her in kind of a legal guardian way, but also was too much of a scientist wanting to look at her and study her and didn't really have time or inclination or what have you to actually love her or like be a parent to her, which I think is something that she like deeply, deeply wanted. And then on top of that, to find out that she'll never be able to have children herself, and I really felt, I really, really, really felt for her this episode. And so it was kind of a surprise, but it wasn't as surprising as it could have been when she finally like goes off script, because on the one hand she's been this, very organized, very orderly, this is, we stick to the plan kind of thing throughout the whole time that we've known her. But to see her like come up with the idea, oh, I'm gonna impersonate Sarah and still Kira, seeing her like go off script that way and deciding to do things her way was so like invigorating and so really fascinating. And even before, like, obviously when she puts the hood on over her head, you know what she's about to do. But I think, and this is a testament to Tatiana's incredible talent, that after, once it's happening, you're still shocked, or at least I was, because like I knew, like I said, I knew it was happening, I knew it was coming, but I still was not prepared for like the needle and Felix's neck and everything. It completely caught me off guard. Like, how did you feel during that scene?
I was pretty much the same way, pretty shocked, but also it made sense, like, to have Miriam talk to her about how like Sarah had the kids, so she's so Sarah's so interesting, and then after that she goes to home videos, and then she goes to steal her daughter. So it like kind of all made sense, because now she'll finally be able to have a family, and now she'll be an interesting one because now she has the kid. So
What do you think? I'm not sure. What do you think is the point of her taking Kira? Like, does Dyad like want to study her and find out, like, for one reason why that car hitting her didn't kill her? Like,
yeah.
or do they have some other kind of I don't know, like sinister plans do you think for her?
I think they probably just want to take like samples from her, figure out like with the car crash why she didn't die. Probably just probe her for a bit. I don't know, like there's only so much you can like take out of a person and like see them before you run out of stuff to do. But they
Yeah.
also might just want to. I don't. I don't think the dyad itself wants to raise her because I feel like that would be kind of unnecessary. But for Rachel's sake, she definitely does want that family setting. She wants to be a mom. But it's really obvious when you see like how much detail she put into Kira's room.
Yeah, that's what made me think that one, this was probably more of Rachel's idea than Diad's, but two, what makes me think that Rachel kind of wants Kira long term as opposed to maybe just doing some tests because, you know, if she, I feel like if they did just want to maybe probe her or study her a little bit, um, they wouldn't have given her like a little girl's like dream room or whatever, you know. I feel like it would have been someplace more temporary. So I feel like for sure Rachel has some like long-term care ideas, and what those ideas are, I just, you know, not too sure. But I guess we'll see. So I wanna backtrack just a little bit and just talk about, first of all, Mrs. S, and then like Benjamin and the whole the actual like bone marrow kind of thing. So um, part of part of the thing that kind of was tipping me towards Rachel is obviously, you know, playing Delphine is that very obvious, oh, I'm going to leave this laptop up and oh, this confidential email, you know, will just come up right now as I'm walking away and you're walking to the computer, you know? And so I was like, okay, you know, obviously, you know,
Here's
something
what you
is
want.
going on up here, but I think, like you said, Delphine was so focused on let's do something that could potentially help Casima, and was just not really using the critical thinking part of her brain. But that was the first thing that uh, I don't know, kind of made me really stop and think about what was going on. But then, like, once they got to the, you know, the hospital and everything's happening, I felt like it was too easy. Like, oh, of course Siobhan has a, you know, pediatrician friend that will, you know,
Yeah.
take out bone marrow from this child for free. You know, it felt too easy, and it kind of just brought me back to that question that I think we've all had since the beginning of the season is, what is Siobhan's like in game? Like, what is her plan? What does she know? What is going on here? You know, I do feel like she has Sarah's best interests at heart, but I feel like there's so many other factors that are just not quite, I think, trustworthy just yet. Like, what is your read on her?
I feel like throughout like both seasons, she's always conveniently had a connection or a friend
Yeah,
whenever they needed
yeah,
it. So that can
yeah,
either be really suspicious and shady, or it could just be the writers don't know how to make things flow without having that convenient connection for Siobhan. But I
mm,
do think she wants the best for Kira, though. I'm not sure she's with the dyad or maybe with some other like third group.
yeah. I I just, she's still such a question to me, you know. Um, so I think she's just one of those characters that, and I think really for me at this point, the only character that I truly don't know whose side is on whose side they're on. Because like before this episode, it was her and Delphine, but now I feel like we have kind of a really clear picture of whose side Delphine is on. So I feel like Siobhan is really the last kind of big question that I have, character-wise. Anyway, there's still lots of plot questions, but I think she's one of the few that I'm just like, you know, what is she about, you know?
And also, that I feel like that might be like the intention of the writers, because if you know like what side everyone's on, it's not really interesting anymore. So.
True. That's very true.
There's also Paul. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, where has he been?
I'm hoping he'll show up next week, because what was it? Maybe 2 episodes ago, Rachel was like trying to call him, and he just wouldn't pick up.
Yeah.
So I'm almost kind of hoping he's trying to find a way to help Sarah and them out of this whole situation. Or he might just be trying to save his own skin. Who knows?
Yeah. Paul is definitely interesting too. Like, I think it's very interesting that he has been missing for so long. But I'm sure that's gonna come up or kind of be addressed next week with, like, you know, whatever he's doing. One thing that was interesting is, you know, last week with Tony and everything, we got the whole message from Sammy, so obviously, you know, there's some kind of connection between that side of things and Paul, but I guess we don't really know exactly what that is. And also, I thought it was interesting when Henrik was talking to, what's his name, Mark, and then we find out that Mark was in the army as well, and I don't know if that is just a coincidence or if that is some kind of tie-in to Paul or what, but I definitely thought that was very interesting.
Especially since, but now Mark and Gracie are on the run, so maybe they'll just coincidentally run into Paul maybe when they're running away.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? So one thing I want to get back to Helena and all that really quick, but one thing I just want to kind of bring up is I really love, I know there's lots of different opinions on Kira, like, and some people like really like her, some people think she's creepy or what have you, but I just love how she just, yeah.
How can anyone think she's creepy?
It's just like, well, you know, she always seems to know things and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I could, you know, I personally really like her. But I think it's so interesting and it's so awesome to me, like, her commitment to these aunts of hers that she hasn't even met. Like, she, like, you know, here she is, like, ripping out her own tooth to help Cosima a few weeks ago. And now she's, like, agreeing to this, like, surgery that she doesn't even probably understand. I get the feeling like, wow, Felix and Siobhan and Sarah were all, like, talking it out and everything. I feel like she was, like, up in her room, like, sawing through her own leg. I don't know, I could totally see that happening. But yeah, I love how committed she is to these people that are, I guess, technically her family, but that she's never met. And one important thing that I like about Sarah asking her if, you know, she wanted to do the surgery is that, you know, this whole show is so feminist and it's so pro-women and women having control over their bodies. I think it's so great that you see that even with children. Like, you see Sarah realizing that, you know, yeah, Kira's 8, but she still has agency over her own body. You know, like, a lot of parents would be like, oh, just do it or don't do it, and would make the decision for the child. But one thing that I think this show is continually doing is showing the importance of women being in control of their own bodies, whatever age, whatever situation, whatever place they find themselves. And so I was just really impressed with that. Like, you see Kira fully decide, yes, I want to do this, even though Sarah has these misgivings and not really wanting to do it. And so I really, really loved that moment.
Yeah, same.
And I thought it was really important. Really important. Okay, so let's switch and go back to Helena and just like talk about everything that happened there. So, I really liked how you see Gracie and Helena. They're in I don't know, that little room with the beds or what have you, and they're kind of having a talk, and I think this is again just such a testimony to Helena's character and to how badly she wants friends and family, and that she just completely kind of forgets that this kid tried to kill her like 2 weeks ago, and you see her have this compassion and this care about someone who so clearly did not care anything about her, like hated her, tried to kill her, And so that's one thing that I really, really love about Helena is how her capacity, I think, for loving people and how she just wants, to have people that she can love and that will love her back. So now I have to say, I was watching this via live stream, so it cut out like just as just before everything started happening, like when Grace and Mark ran and everything. So can you give me, like, I've read some recaps and stuff, but can you give me just a quick recap of how everything went down, like with the fire and with Mark and Gracie running and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, did you see what happened to, Henrik at all?
No, I read about it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, so before the fire, she strapped him onto that medical table where he implanted the embryos in her, and then she injected him with the embryos. So I think she put in like horse or cow embryos instead.
Wow! Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay.
Yeah. And she was just kind of laughing because being payback.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. And so, from there, what came next?
I think after the embryos were implanted, well, after she injected him, then she put in the fire, and then cut to a different scene. I don't remember what. They put to one of the other ones, I think.
Okay. So, I know, obviously, everything's up in flames, and I'm just wondering if there are going to be, like, who's going to survive, Like, what's going to happen? And I'm wondering if that fire is like a decisive end, because I remember earlier this season, the last fire that we saw was when Sarah was leaving with Kira from the whole bird watchers hideaway thing. There's a big fire there, and the Proletheans, I'm pretty sure, started that fire, burned it down.
Yeah.
And then we never really, besides Benjamin, hear about the bird watchers again. It seems like they've scattered. So I wonder if that same thing is going to happen now with the Proletheans, like whether everyone's going to die or if they're going to scatter and, we see them later. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think from a writing standpoint, it would be a good sort of full circle because they started that fire, so I guess it would make sense for their demise to be the same thing, for them to die and not that fire as well.
Mhm.
But I was also really surprised that because there was that nursery there, so I was surprised that Helena didn't, like, did she burn the nursery down too of all those
Yeah,
children?
yeah.
This
I,
didn't seem like her.
right. I don't know. Part of me can't really see her willingly killing children. Um, but who really knows, you know? Um, so yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable with that, but I guess that'll be addressed in the finale next week. Um,
Hopefully.
yeah. One thing I will say on a lighter note, I was so excited to see Catherine Alexandri like actually on screen, instead of just being the clone double.
Yeah, the
I,
ball
I
double.
really liked her. And I would actually really love it if they found a way to like work her in next season too, like as a different character. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. I feel
Um,
kind of bad for her just because she's doing all the same work, but no one really knows who she is. Really.
yeah, like she's so. I don't know if underrated is even the right word. It's like people literally don't know about her. I
Yeah.
mean, and the people from the show and Tatiana have been really gracious and vocal about her, which is great. But like other than that, and like some diehard fans and stuff, I feel like the general media doesn't really know that she's such an integral part of what the show is and what Tatiana is able to do. And so I don't know, I would love to get more recognition for her, you know? And to have people talking about her more and just generally being aware of what she does and and I think it shows such like graciousness and humility on her part that she is willing to do this like almost thankless job, you know, for like none of the fame or recognition at all.
Yeah.
Really just for the art and for the show that she I guess really believes in. So I'm just really impressed with her. So, in our last couple minutes, I want to just kind of maybe throw out some ideas of what we think the finale might look like, and maybe some things that we would like to see in the finale. So, I know for me, I am, as I mentioned before, very scared about Cosima, but even more, I'm really nervous about Sarah as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of those episode descriptions, but the one for next week, it's like, you know, Sarah. It's something like Sarah's like completely at the end of her rope, and you know she has nowhere else to turn, and all this kind of thing. And then if you watch the sneak peek that was right after the episode, you see her like
Additional
making maybe some
surrender.
kind of a video or something, and she's like, "This is my unconditional surrender," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, you know, what is gonna happen?" And you feel like before, you know, this would never have happened because Sarah's like this fighter, and she always kind of Sarah Mannings her way out of every situation, whether it's like creating a door out of a wall
Yeah.
or dressing up as Cosima to, you know, and stealing Leaky's card and confronting Rachel with the gun. She always finds some way out of being in a terrible pickle. But now she literally has nothing because they have her daughter, which is the person that she cares the most about. So she will obviously do whatever it takes to ensure Kira's survival and well-being and whatever else. So I'm so nervous about that whole storyline.
That also makes me
But what
wonder.
about yeah?
Like, wonder what is she surrendering? She's surrendering herself to die to just keep control of her in their little labs the whole time, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. If you think back to last season in the I don't know if it was the last episode or was it episode 9? I can't remember now. But you see Rachel, she gives her the whole like contract or whatever. She gives it to her and Allison and Cosima. And obviously, Sarah doesn't sign it, and Cosima doesn't either. And so I'm wondering if it has something to do with that. And then, if you remember, at the beginning of this season, I think it was the very first episode, back when Rachel was still pretending that she had Kira, she had a phone call with Sarah, and she was like, and Sarah was like, well, how do I get Kira back or something like that, and Rachel was like, surrender yourself, So I wonder if it's somehow tied to that whole contract, and if maybe Dyad wants them to come in for, I don't know, testing, or I don't know, but somehow I get this sinister kind of feeling from them, especially with Leaky gone, because I feel like he alone would have been the person that would be willing to kind of look out for them a little bit, But now you have Rachel and you have Marion, who are still fairly unknown entities. Like, anything really could be possible. And it could be anything from just studying them or whatever to something invasive with Kira, which obviously Sarah wouldn't want. So I don't know. I actually don't know what surrendering to Dyad would mean. But it would be very interesting for sure. What do you think? What do you think Helena is going to be up to in the finale? What are your predictions?
She's definitely going to try and find her Astra, or how she really is she says it, but
yeah,
we'll definitely try and find Kira, and then I feel like when she finds out what's happened to Kira, she will definitely go after Rachel, because we all know that she is super protective of children, especially Kira.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
Also wondering if we're gonna see more Mark and Gracie or not, or if they're just gonna be loose ends until season 3 or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, where are they gonna go? What?
Especially since she's pregnant with Helena's children too.
Yeah, and I feel like Helena is going to have some thoughts about that, obviously, especially if, like you said, if hers didn't take. She's going to know that she has some kids out there somewhere, so I wonder if she's going to, try to find them, or I wonder if maybe she'll try to find some way to bring them to Sarah. I don't know, there's so many. Helena is, so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Literally anything could happen. I'm coming back to, I guess, what we kind of talked about earlier, is I still can't shake the feeling that somebody is going to die, and I'm kind of worried, I guess, about that. And so I think our top contenders are obviously Cosima, Sarah, Kira, and Delphine, I think. Maybe Rachel, but I don't see a reason for her dying. And so I would have to say I don't think Sarah's going to die.
No, me neither.
I think Jack did a talk about this as well, but did you see that article a few months ago where one of the reviewers was like, Sarah needs to die at the end of the season, and was giving all these reasons and stuff? And so I feel like he kind of made some good points about how there needs to be a balance. You can't just keep killing people and having them come back. But at the same time, as revolutionary as Orphan Black is, I really can't see them killing off their protagonists, because Sarah's the person that pretty much makes everything happen. She's the one that is rebelling against Dyad. She's the one that's trying to make things safe for Kira, and she's the one that's always looking for answers. I feel like she says, "I just want answers," like once every episode, you know. And so I feel like killing her off wouldn't be a great move. But on the other hand, at the same time, killing off Cosima doesn't seem like a great move either, because she's kind of our inside guy for Dyad. Like,
Right.
especially before we really met Rachel, she was our link to understanding the science of all of this. And she is kind of like, oh, we don't understand Project Leda, let's talk to Cosima. Or like, oh, where did this fish symbol come from? Oh, let's talk to Cosima. And so I feel like killing her off would kind of be a disservice to the story, unless they found some other way to do that.
I mean, could Delphine maybe?
So that's. Sorry, say it again.
Delphine, would she maybe be able to take over like the science explanation and looking up research?
Maybe. I mean, she technically could, but if you see like if you remember the reactions that like Sarah and Felix and Siobhan had to her when she showed up, like they don't trust her at all. And the only reason that Cosima was really able to be such a good answer person is that you see that trust that Sarah has for her first, and then Felix, you know. And so I feel like Delphine could definitely serve as the expositor or whatever, but you don't see that same level of trust. And so I don't see, especially if Cosima does die, I don't see Sarah coming around to trusting her or really wanting to talk to her at all. And especially now that Kira has been kidnapped by Dyad, the very people that Delphine works for. Like, I don't see that happening, like, at all. So that's one of the few things that I kind of try to remind myself of when I get really scared that Cosima's going to die. But I'm now thinking about, okay, how are they going to bring her back? You know, like, what is the bone marrow going to actually work, or does Ethan need to, you know, do something sciencey? Like, what exactly is going to go down with that? I don't know. I have no idea. Lastly, what do you think, or do you think, maybe do you think is better, do you think anyone is ever going to put the pieces together with Donnie and Leaky? Like, do you think someone's going to start asking questions about Leaky and all the weird stuff that's kind of going on in their garage, or do you think they're going to get away with it?
The Dyad will definitely not ask questions, because they're probably just happy that he's dead and that he's overwhelmed and they technically didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to the other clones, like with Sarah, I think they will definitely ask questions. But if they find out, it's not really that big of a deal, because they aren't going to want Allison to go to jail, or Donnie in that case. So I feel like, I'm pretty sure they're going to get away with it, unless there's just sort of they need some more conflict in the show, and then that would be a good, easy spot to start something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think, like, I feel like Dyad was just happy to have him gone. Like you said, like, as far as we know, there haven't really been, like, any questions or inquiries or anything about where he actually is. Everyone just seems to be satisfied with we had a heart attack on a private jet story, you know. Now, I guess that could maybe change if he had any family and they came looking for him, but I don't know if he had any family or anything like that. So I think it's very possible that both Donnie and Allison are going to get away with their accidental murders, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, how funny was it when they finished doing the cement and Donnie draws a heart over the dead body of the man they killed, and right after that, they decide to have sex on the freezer where the body was. Like, how?
I know that was just like incredible for me. That was an incredible moment. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, Donnie was just like the MVP of this episode. I was just so impressed. Oh man! All right. Well, we are out of time. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Mimi for being here, and I really enjoyed talking to you. Everyone, you can find her on Tumblr at Cumberbum is my division. When I come back in and do the editing, I'll make sure to link to her Tumblr so you can go follow her or talk to her. Everyone, we will see you next week for the finale where we'll be talking about all the craziness that has happened this whole season, and I hope you join us then. But thank you so much, and have a good week. Bye.